Hey everybody, and welcome back to Martians Eating Chocolate podcast.
And I'm Emma.
And Victoria here. Let's dive in.
Pew, pew, yay! Psst, grown-ups. Think you're smarter than a 10-year-old?
And not just any 10-year-old, one armed with geography and history facts sharper than a compass point.
We'll see about that. Welcome to Kids Quiz the World, the show where we toss questions faster than Napoleon crossed mountains and invite you to answer right from your sofa.
Before the quiz frenzy begins, let's agree on definitions. Geography asks where the something is and what it's like. Mountains, rivers, even pizza-shaped countries. Think of it as the map that sets the stage.
History, meanwhile, wants the juicy gossip. Who did what, when, and why it mattered. Same stage, but now people are running around making dramatic decisions, usually in funny hats. The difference between history and geography can be exemplified by the people.
Take Napoleon, for example. In 1800, he marched 40,000 troops over the snow-stuffed Great St. Bernard's Pass, 2,469 meters high, because shortcuts are for quitters.
Well, based off the previous sentence, we see parallels between geography and history. But they're not all the same. Let me give an analogy. Geography drove the bus, snowy Alps, steep climb, while history narrated. Will this little general make it or freeze his boots off?
Ready, Eric? Question 1. Which continent has both the world's longest river and the largest hot desert?
Yeah, Africa, Nile and Sahara. Easy.
Adults bonus challenge. Name 3 Nile cities. Cairo's obvious, but what about Aswan, Luxor, Khartoum? We'll check your geography street cred later.
History lightning. Napoleon's final defeat happened at which 1815 battle?
Waterloo, where 68,000 men decided Europe's future in one day. Fun fact, Wellington actually called it the nearest run thing you ever saw.
Speaking of pattern spotting, let's hear some geography puzzles from our youngest listeners. Hi, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Evan.
All right, Evan, time for a brain teaser. First one, island math. Count the letters in Hawaii. Is that number greater or less than the number of the main Hawaiian islands?
Easy. Hawai. 6 letters.
And there are 8 islands, so?
So 6 is less than 8. Boom.
Okay, Mr. Confident. Next one. Time zone tag. When it's noon in LA, it's 3 p.m. In New York, how many hours apart?
3 hours. I know that because last time I took my cousin in Brooklyn at 10 p.m., he replied, "Dude, it's 1 a.m. Stop sending me memes."
Classic. All right, flag detective. Red maple leaf on white with red bars.
Canada, obviously.
I mean, that was made for you. Next, river relay. Which river flows through Egypt, Nile, Amazon, or Yangtze?
That's the Nile. But fun fact, people used to think the Amazon was longer. It's like the rivers are in a competition or something.
This just in. River Smackdown. The Nile defends its title. All right, final one. Latitude riddle. Which country lies closest to the equator, Kenya, Norway, or Argentina?
Kenya. It's basically right on the equator.
Yep, I saw a photo of the equator line painted right across the road in Kenya. It's like, congrats, you just walked through the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere in 2 steps.
Okay, so we're 5 for 5. We're geniuses.
Wait, hold on, I just Googled it. Technically, Hawaii has 137 islands.
What? Then we just got the first one wrong?
No, the main Hawaiian islands are 8. The rest are tiny, like rocks with names.
So we didn't mess up?
No, we're good, but imagine trying to bike across all 137 islands.
I'd rather swim with the Amazon River piranhas. Thanks.
And on that note, trivia time is officially over.
Until next time, bring snacks and smarter questions.
Hi, Eric. I have a question for you. Do the countries on the equator ever snow? Like, ever, even on, like, mountains and high up?
How many questions are there going to be? But otherwise, let's bring it on. So first of all, there are countries with snow on the equator. This is because of very high mountains that generate ice, ice glaciers at the top, which forms permanent ice and also causes snow in nearby areas. So yes, there actually is snow on the equator, but it's just very high up.
Hey, Eric, I have a question for you. Which country is known as the land of a million elephants?
This is referring to Laos, which is a Southeast Asian country east of Thailand. And this is because Lao, or Lan Sang, refers to the historical kingdom that existed in Laos from the 14th to 18th centuries, which is actually the land of a million elephants. And because elephants are considered symbols of prosperity in Laos, this is why they're very prized entities. And this is why it's called the land of a million elephants.
Okay, next.
My name is Clover and I'm 6 years old. I'm the tallest mountain in Africa, and my name starts with the same letter as kangaroo. Who am I?
I think the tallest mountain in Africa is Mountain Kilimanjaro, because I read a book written by Geronimo Stilton, and that's the only mountain I know in Africa. So I'm guessing it is the Kilimanjaro mountain.
True or false? Madagascar is bigger than the United Kingdom.
I think this is false, because I read a book written by C.S. Stilton, and in the book it said that Madagascar is basically an island, and the United Kingdom is made up of 4 countries, which are Wales, Northern Ireland, England, and I forgot the other one. So I think Madagascar is smaller than the United Kingdom. Hi, Eric. I have a question. What is the biggest volcano in the world?
So first of all, you're not correct in the terms of Madagascar and the UK, sadly. The UK does seem a lot bigger because it has a lot more population density than Madagascar, but actually Madagascar is bigger in geographic area. And yes, there's Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England in the UK. Now, for the biggest volcano, this question can actually be answered in multiple ways because the biggest volcano is either an underwater volcano or an overground volcano. So it's either Tamu Massive, which is part of the Shatsky Ridge, that's the largest underwater volcano. However, the largest on-land volcano is Mauna Loa in Hawaii.
Okay, next.
Put these continents in order from largest to smallest. Africa, Europe, Australia.
Europe, Africa, Australia.
Okay, the correct answer is Africa, Europe, Australia, so you were close. Question 2, Prime Meridian Hop. You start in London and walk straight east across Greenwich Park. The moment you cross the Prime Meridian, are you now in the eastern or western hemisphere?
Eastern.
That's correct. Mighty Mountain Range, which is question 3. Mount Everest belongs to which mountain range? The Himalayas or the Rockies?
Himalayas.
That's correct. And finally, question 4, Desert Detective. If you travel south from the Mediterranean Sea to Africa, which vast desert do you enter, the Sahara or the Kalahari?
The Kalahari.
That is incorrect. The answer is the Sahara.
Okay, next.
Elizabeth, I have some questions for you. Quick quiz. Are you ready to take the challenge?
Yeah.
Okay, the first one. If you sail east from Florida across Atlantic, will you reach A, the Sahara Desert, or B, a group of sunny islands called the Canary Islands?
I think it's B, the group of islands.
Okay. Now, the second one. It's summer vacation in Canada. What season is it right now for children in Australia?
Maybe.
Winter or spring?
I think winter.
Okay, good answers. And now, your question for Eric.
How big is the whole universe?
Wow, that's deep. Let's see if it will challenge Eric. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, Brian. I have a question for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
How big do you think the universe is?
I think the universe is 1,099 pancakes.
And Livia, how big do you think the universe is?
I think 100 castles.
That's a funny answer.
Hey, Julio, how big is the universe?
Medium.
Medium? Do you think it's like a medium pizza? Or do you think it's like a big house? Or do you think it's like bigger than the earth? Good answer. Good answer.
So, Oliver, how big is the observable universe?
Infinity.
Not quite. Whilst Thanos has the Infinity Stones, that's not how big the universe is. The universe has a finite length. How big do you think the universe actually is?
1,000.
I know that you all have multiple answers. However, the correct answer is roughly 93 billion light years in diameter. This is the area of the observable universe, what we can see. We don't know if there's anything beyond it because we can't really observe it. However, this is what we can see currently, and that's the estimated size of the universe.
Okay, next.
My question for Eric is, what 3 cities have the most street vendors in the world? Or at least estimated to have the most street vendors in the world? I think this is a really hard question because I did some research and saw that a very unexplored area of geography is things like street vending, unregistered businesses, and that kind of stuff because there isn't a lot of data on it and we can't really have an exact number at all times. So that is why I think this question is so hard to answer. Good luck, Eric.
I don't want to answer your question. I'm just kidding. Actually, it depends on what you count as street vendors. The street vendors only count as people selling food on the street or vending machine street vendors as well. Because, there's multiple ways you can go about this, and each of them have different data sets that would lead to different cities having different amounts of street vendors. So, actually, there are a few prime candidates for top street vendors in the world. And here are a list of cities that could be top 3, depending on what criteria you use. So first of all is Bangkok. Bangkok is a city that I'm going to visit, but hear me out about this. The street food scene is very renowned in Thailand and in Bangkok especially because it's a very large tourist city. And then, that means you're going to have a lot of street vendors. And it's very famous to have street vendors in cities like Bangkok in Southeast Asia. That's one of the main appeals of Southeast Asia. And then another thing is actually in Istanbul. Istanbul has a lot of street vendors because street food is deeply ingrained in Turkish culture, with vendors offering a wide array of dishes such as kebabs, börek, and simi. I'm butchering these names. However, yes, there is a lot. If you go by vending machines, obviously the answer will be somewhere in Japan. And I think the answer is I think the answer here is probably Tokyo. Now, the thing here about Tokyo is that it's massive. And then on basic criteria and logic alone, you would assume that it has the most street vendors because of its massive size. However, cultural differences lead to different countries having more street vendors. If you count vending machines, though, Tokyo will have a lot more street vendors than any other city because of the sheer amount of vending machines. So that is the answer to your question. And it is not a very good answer because it actually just depends on what you count as street vendors. But this is the best answer that I can give.
Another question for Eric is, what are the 13 countries that the equator runs through? I think this is a really hard question, and when I first thought up of it, I was really curious. But when I looked it up, there were countries that I didn't even know existed. So I'm really curious on how you will do with this question.
So actually, I do know this, and from west to east, it goes Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, Sao Tome and Principe, Gabon, Republic of the Congo, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Somalia, Maldives, Indonesia, and finally, this one you might not know, Kiribati. A fun fact about Kiribati is that it has towns named Banana, London, and Paris. And Poland. Don't forget Poland. Just to clarify, Poland is not on the equator. That's an obvious fact. It's a town in Kiribati, along with Paris and London and banana.
Okay, next.
Hello, my name is Alice. Do you know where is the Great Mariana Trench located in which ocean?
Which ocean, Bella?
It is located in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, now second question. Which continent does the giant anteaters live? I don't know. The giant anteaters live in South America, Bella. IDK!
How old are you, Alice?
I am 10 years old.
Okay, next.
Hey, Elisa, if you fly south from Canada until you reach the first place where parrots live in the wild, which big region are you in? The Caribbean or the Arctic?
I think it's the Caribbean because parrots only live in the hot places, not in the Arctic.
Okay, good answer. And one more question. Find the country whose flag has one red circle in the middle of a white rectangle.
I think it must be Japan.
Eric, we have a question for you. What is the capital of a country that has two official languages, one of which is not widely spoken? And what are the two official languages?
So basically here, there's many ways to interpret this question, and the question unfortunately is too broad for me to give a definitive answer. The closest answer I have is Canada, who the capital is Ottawa. And the reasoning behind this is basically English is more widely spoken than French in Canada. And then this country is basically bilingual, English and French, blah, 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 etc. Now, if you say that the language is not very widely spoken, does it mean in the country or in the world? Because those two interpretations of the question can both be accurate. And to me, if it's in the country, then Canada is one of the candidates. But if it's in the world, there's many countries that has two official languages. One of them is not spoken very widely in the world. So this is a question that is way too broad.
Okay, next.
Hi, today's question is to put these Chinese mountain ranges in order from highest average elevation to lowest: Qinling, Himalayas, and Taihang. Chinese mountain ranges vary in height. The Himalayas are the highest, averaging over 6,000 meters. The Qinling Mountains come next at 2,000 to 3,000 meters, followed by the Taihang Mountains, which average 1,500 to 2,000 meters. So the order is Himalayas, Qinling, and then Taihang. Which province is nicknamed the land of fish and rice, has Shanghai on its northern border, and is famous for West Lake in its capital city? Zhejiang, a province in eastern China, is known as the land of fish and rice for its fertile land and rich water resources. It borders Shanghai to the north, and its capital, Hangzhou, is famous for the scenic West Lake.
Okay, next.
Ladies and gentlemen, kids, squirrels, and confused grandparents, welcome to the world-famous Geography is Kind of Cool If You Think About It show. I'm Sophia, and I'm 10 years old.
And I'm Julia, and I'm 7-year-old.
So today's first question is, drumroll please. Why is Guangzhou like a sweating armpit in winter and Beijing's basically a human popsicle?
Mountains. They block warm air like giant walls. Beijing gets cold wind from Siberia like Burns' nose icicles.
Okay, next question. Why do most ethnic groups live around China's edges?
Because the middle's flat and firmy. The Han people were like, mine And everyone else got mountain leftovers.
Mountain leftovers?
Still tasty, just hard to chew.
Okay, that's all. Bye.
Okay, next. Hey, welcome back. We're gonna ask some quick questions today. I'm Preston.
And I'm Aiden.
What is the only continent that's also a country?
That's an easy one. Australia, of course. Now you try this. Rank these places from the hottest to the coldest. The Sahara Desert, the Amazon rainforest, and Antarctica.
Okay, I'd say Sahara, then Amazon, then Antarctica. Antarctica is literally the freezer of the earth.
Exactly. It's the coldest place ever on Earth. 2. Here's a riddle. I start in the Andes, slither east, and pour into the Atlantic. I'm so long, I cross the entire rainforest. Who am I?
That's the Amazon River, no doubt about that. What's the highest mountain in North America?
Mount Baker?
Maybe, but no bananas. Let's ask Eric about that.
Hello, I am Oliver, and the answer is Denali.
Hey, Preston, who was the first person to land on Mars?
Elon Musk? I thought Elon Musk already launched a crew there.
We may ask Eric about that too.
Nobody has landed on Mars yet. It's just 2 rovers, and Elon Musk is not going to land on Mars for like at least 5 years. So actually, your question is out of date because nobody has ever landed on Mars except for a few robots like Opportunity or something. Anyways, yeah.
Okay, next.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, Mom.
Does Spain look more like a star or a sneaker?
A sneaker.
Why is that?
It curves like a shoe. But actually, it looks more like a broken t-shirt.
A broken t-shirt? That's super clever. Now, if you were a camel, would you rather walk across a desert or swim across the ocean?
Walk the desert. Camels have long legs and aren't good swimmers.
Exactly. Great job, Katie.
Okay, next.
So, Sophia, if you have a chance to give the most difficult question to a grade 5 student, what question will you ask?
I would ask them, where does Tuvalu, the island, have, where is it?
That island is in Oceania.
Okay, next.
Hi everyone! I'm Melissa. I'm 9 years old. And today I'm going to ask Preston some interesting questions. First question. Which ocean is not crossed by the equator?
I think it's the Arctic Ocean because it's at the top of the world where it's super cold. Here's one for you. The Great Barrier Reef, roughly the size of Italy, lies in the Coral Sea off the coast of which continent?
It's Australia. It has amazing beaches and so many colorful fish. Next one. The Panama Canal links the Pacific Ocean with which other ocean?
The Atlantic Ocean, right? Because the canal goes through Central America and the Atlantic is next both to North and South America. Okay, now it's time for our random questions.
Preston, here's mine. Why was Queen Elizabeth II's mom called Queen Elizabeth I?
Because Elizabeth II's mom was also named Elizabeth, but she wasn't the first queen to rule with that name. Let's just ask Eric. Ask Eric.
So let me think about this for a second. Because I actually do not know the answer to this question. Now, if we can bring on a special guest for the next episode, that would be very much appreciated.
Alyssa, what's the largest desert on Earth?
Easy. It has to be the Sahara Desert.
Maybe. I think it's the largest hot desert. But actually, the largest desert of any kind is Antarctica. It's cold, but still a desert.
That's wild. So deserts don't have to be hot?
Nope, just dry like me when I forget to drink water.
Correctly identified that Antarctica is the largest desert because you keep listening to our old podcasts. And this is why you, the listener, should also go listen to our old podcast. So anyways, thanks these kids for asking me so many questions. And remember to always stay curious because it will help you in the future. Maybe it'll help you get into university like I'm doing right now. Please help me.